Hello and welcome to Full Gas, the series that is going to take a closer look at my journey as I get into bike racing, which is crazy because I actually, at the moment, I know nothing and I have pretty much never done a bike race. Let's get into episode 1. So this year, it's always kind of been my dream to do a bit more bike racing. It's something that I have very little experience of over and above kind of just participating in sportives and ride events in the greatest sense of the word. So this is where I want to document my journey as I try and push my performance actually out on the road. And the first thing we're going to chat about is crit racing. I have no experience when it comes to crit racing, so if anyone knows anything, please feel free to dive into the comments and let me know what your thoughts are and how I do this. So far, I've been online and I have found a race series in the UK called Full Gas, which is kind of the namesake of where this has all come from. And it's something I really want to participate in. They have, I think, races at 2 different venues, Hillingdon, which is actually really close to me, and then they also have a second race over at the Olympic Park. I think it's on Wednesday evenings. So those are the events that I'm going to be targeting. When I say no, I know nothing about crit racing, genuinely, I know very little. I've been into places and I've spoken to people, and some people have told me things like it's 60 minutes plus 2 laps or things like that. And I actually still have no idea how a crit race actually works. So that's going to be the first thing that obviously is going to be a real steep learning curve for me, and I'm very excited about it. The one thing I have done though is I've realized that I have to register with British Cycling, so I've definitely kind of taken it upon myself to do that. That was the easy thing. So that was the first thing, register with British Cycling, find a race and then sign up for it essentially. And those are the 2 things that I've just about got on top of. I have also built myself a crit bike, which I'm really looking forward to racing. And obviously I've done a ton of videos on the Winspace T1550. It has a pair of Challenge Criterium 27mm white wall tires. So I'm hoping that's going to be another thing that might help me along the way. In actual fact, the Winspace only has the tire clearance for a 28mm tire, so I can't go any wider than a 28. But at the moment, I am running a 27. There are a few things I need to do to the bike before I get it up to speed and take it crit racing, and first and foremost is obviously rewrapping the bars so you guys don't shout at me for the clamps being on show. But that's cool, we can handle that at any time. The other thing is, obviously I need to dial in my bike handling skills and practice things like turns, corners, and just bike handling in general. So I'm going to do a few episodes where I just kind of head out with the boys and just try and get used to kind of riding in that pack mentality a bit more. It's something I've done, but I don't have any race experience. Someone did reach out to me and asked me whether I wanted to participate in a road race later in the summer, and absolutely 100% I said yes. So I will be going to Dorset to participate in a road race as well, and that's something that we will cover later in the series. So what does my training look like at the moment? I'm going to give you a quick rundown as to how it all shapes up and the way that I'm trying to do this. I'm also doing a little bit of running at the moment, so I'm trying to combine the 2. And the way that I've structured it is I'm trying to front load my week with my cycle training and then back load my week with my run training. And at the moment, what I've realized that I need to do whilst my body basically adapts and recovers and gets used to the run volume is basically keep my intensity very low other than the times I really kind of want to do a race. So if I'm doing any form of cycling that's not a Swift race or an intentional training session, the intensity, is super low. And actually the volume isn't crazy high at the moment, considering it's still January in the UK. And the weather outside is horrible, or mostly horrible and cold, and I don't really enjoy that. So this is what my week looks like. I am going to try and do a Zwift race on Monday night, which is the prime times. I find those really enjoyable because they go so hard and you have to put a ton of effort into keeping up. So ultimately for me, it's kind of like an interval session. If it's not an interval session, it's a tempo session. And they're just really hard work. And they can be anything from kind of 25 minutes through to 45 minutes. Somehow, even though I didn't actually register for it, I have been drawn in to do the Zwift Racing League, which takes place on a Tuesday night, which basically means Monday, Tuesday, when it comes to cycling, is just gonna suck for me. It's gonna be really hard. So Monday, Tuesday is gonna be like my 2 days that I absolutely target when it comes to cycling in terms of intensity, which basically means my Sunday is gonna be very chill, a very light run, nothing too crazy, maybe a light pedal in the afternoon on the bike. But I'm gonna keep the intensity and the volume low on a Sunday with the hopes of being able to do little bits on the Monday. But I will have to go for a little bit of a jog on a Monday and a Tuesday for between 5 and 10K at a very low intensity. So I'm not really making things easy for myself, but needs must. And I think once the events start drawing a little bit closer, I'm obviously gonna have to change things and adapt my training hugely so that it doesn't kind of, one can kind of take priority over the other. For the rest of the week, the Monday, Tuesday, obviously going to be the 2 race days, which is going to be really hard. And most of those, or I will be riding those in Cat B on Zwift. There'll be my esports races. Thursday, Wednesday and Thursday are days where I am just a little bit more malleable. I would imagine they'd be kind of zone 2 volume rides, trying to do maybe 90 minutes, just nice and easy without pushing too much. I know that the cycling tattooist, Thomas, he has a crazy fast tempo ride on a Thursday evening that I want to try and get myself into more of a routine of joining him on, because it's 60 minutes at just a nice hard intensity with a group, and that is like invaluable in terms of training. So if I'm feeling good, those are the types of things I might dive into, or on a Thursday I might try and throw in kind of like a training session or a genuine kind of like Zwift base big training session to kind of bolster up and try and improve my VO2 or my interval sessions and something like that. But Friday is going to have to be very easy because I have my hard and fast park runs on a Saturday normally. So Friday is going to be kind of just a nice easy day, reasonable volume, maybe 90 minutes. Saturday is probably going to be the day where I don't do any cycling because it's my 5K park run and then a long run. And then Sunday should be nice and chill. So if that doesn't make sense, I'm going to put it all down here for you so you can kind of see it, and then I will overlay that with my run training, and you kind of get an idea of where like the bulk of my training is going. Kind of the front of the week is where I need to be ready to go and cycle, and then the back of the week is where I need to go and be ready to run. I'm asking a lot of myself. I do understand that, but what you have to remember when it comes to training is that it's malleable. It's not like just because it's written on a piece of paper or on a spreadsheet doesn't mean it happens. And that's the biggest thing about training is that adaptability and your ability to take your training and just kind of twist it and figure out what is working for you. And it's going to take a few weeks for me to figure out where we are with that. So here we go, guys. I have also, just to test where my fitness is at, I've been out on the WindSpace to go and do a little KOM session to see how fit I am compared to my peak fitness towards the end of the summer. So check this out and you will see where I am in terms of fitness.
It's no secret that I want to go crit and road racing. So today we're going to go test out the new bike because I'm going to go and do a segment and see if I can beat my PR from last year.
Right, so I popped down to the local bike shop, Flat Harry's. Time to eventually weigh the T50 and 50, and we're going to weigh it properly. Finally answer the question that everyone's been asking. Right, this bike coming in on pedals, seats, tape, all the stuff, rideable, fully rideable bike, tubeless. We are 7.95, a little bit heavier than I thought it was, but we are all right with that. So there we go, that's finally answered. So this is what today is all about. I am going racing this summer, crit racing and some road racing. And I want to basically get to grips with my new bike. And this is the bike that I'm going to be doing all my racing on. So I have come here, which is basically a road that's really local to me that I've always wanted to try and pick up the KOM on. I'm definitely not going to get the KOM on it because a buddy of mine who has been in a few videos, he's the guy that's got it. Him and some of his mates basically did a bunch of up and offs down this road. It's super fast. I've been checking the wind direction for the last few days, and there's been a storm and it's been a headwind the whole time. Today it's a bit of a crosswind with a kind of reasonably strong breeze.
So, the biggest thing is, this isn't like a test of my fitness. It's more the fact that my last bike is more of an enduro bike. So slightly different position, slightly longer frame. Like, I don't quite enjoy the position on it as much. Whereas the T1550 is an aero bike. So I'm hoping the fact that I can drop down into a better position is gonna hold in good stead for being able to put in a faster time. And that is basically the long and short of it. Like, if I can adapt to the position of riding a slightly more, or adapt to a slightly more aggressive position, how's that going to translate in terms of speed? So the last time I did this, I set a really good time, considering I did it when I was really fit. That was the peak of my fitness, kind of maybe October. We've had a bit of a dip in the fitness, so I'm hoping it's kind of counteracted by just being in a much better, more aero position. And we're basically going to see how that goes. But this is kind of full gas. We need to get to grips with the kit. We're going to go as hard as we can, and we're just going to see what happens. Oh man, I can literally taste blood. I faded hugely towards the end, but I'm pretty happy with that. I think I was about 4 seconds off. I was about 4 seconds off on the time, but we're pretty happy with that. I think as a standard, we went out and we set my PR on that the end of October, November, when I was like peak fitness. So end of January, where I'm not quite peak fitness, volume's quite high, yada, yada, yada. 4 seconds off is fine. I was 4 seconds up till just over halfway, so just faded towards the end and then didn't have a sprint, classic, but that is all good. So all in all, guys, I'm pretty happy with how things are going at the moment. I'm a few seconds off where I was at the peak of my fitness, but then also the intensity and volume and everything I'm doing at the moment is kind of just like a level up, if you will, especially because I find that all the run training really takes out my body, or certainly takes out my legs a little bit more. So I'm missing that kind of sharpness, but I'm not too worried about that, because I know that if I tailor my training towards that, kind of when the events come round, then it's kind of going to give me at least half a chance of enjoying it more and actually doing quite well, and that is the goal. So episode 1 of Full Gas, there we go, guys. You've seen my bike, you've seen the training that I want to do, you've seen where I am with my fitness as we go on this journey to try and figure out how we get more into road racing, what it's all about, and just kind of do a bit more of it. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one, and thanks for sticking around. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and drop me a comment with any tips that you might have. See you guys soon.